summers ago, I was working at a Jewish summer camp with a group of middle schoolers. On one particular evening, we gathered around a campfire for a program about communal gossip and personal insecurities. As part of this program, we had everyone write down a personal insecurity or two on a piece of paper. Then we folded up the papers so that no one could identify the authors as a fellow unit head and I read these insecurities aloud to the group. After we read the papers, we threw them into the fire to symbolically destroy the things that were weighing down our souls. Although the papers themselves turned to ash, their content lingered in my mind. I was amazed at what these campers wrote then as 11 and 12-year-olds. Many of these young people felt insecure about particular aspects of their appearance, even if parents and friends said they were beautiful inside and out. Others worried about being loved and accepted for who they are. They feared rejection for liking the wrong things, the wrong activities, the wrong types of music, even the wrong types of people. The kids seemed amazed too at what their peers had written that day, though for another reason. They were amazed and relieved to discover that other people had basically the same fears and insecurities that they had. What we shared that evening was sacred. It was a moment of revelation that connected our group, our community, on a profound level. That sacred evening came to mind again as I read the opening line of this week's Torah portion. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. Meaning, you are standing today, all of you, in the presence of Adonai, your God. Classical commentators have many things to say about this opening line, but curiously little about one of its words, kulchem. This overlooked word, kulchem, is what stands out most to me. Kulchem means all of you. If Rashi were from Alabama, rather than France, you might expect him to define the word kulchem as all y'all. But he doesn't do that. Actually, he doesn't comment on this word at all, even though it seems redundant in this verse. The verse, Deuteronomy 29:9, already says atem, which a southern Rashi would also translate as all y'all. Why, we might ask, does the Torah say both atem, meaning all y'all, and kulchem, meaning all of you, in the same sentence? Some might explain the redundancy as emphatic pluralization, but Rambam finds more meaning in the word kulchem. Rambam explains that kulchem refers to the phrase kol Yisrael, meaning all of Israel, from earlier in the chapter. But I think the word kulchem is more than an allusion to a previous verse. I'd like to suggest that it has a deeper meaning. Kulchem could also refer to every individual as a full human being with both positive and negative attributes and experiences. It means all of you, all of us, all of our experiences, and the fullness of our lives. Just as the word kulchem is largely overlooked by commentators, certain parts of our lives are systematically overlooked or even purposely obscured. Sometimes we overlook the positive qualities in others because it's easier to hate someone than to truly get to know them. Sometimes we do the opposite and focus on the positive aspects so much that we ignore the rest of reality. It's not fun or easy to confront flaws or imperfections, especially our own. But it's necessary for our spiritual growth to acknowledge these realities and address them in a thoughtful manner. As social media websites like Facebook have become increasingly popular, many of us have spent a tremendous amount of time cultivating the perfect online images of ourselves. We tend to post the most attractive pictures of ourselves taken from the most flattering angles. Then we essentially brag about the exciting highlights of our lives. We share fantastic news of educational and professional achievements, pictures of our kids at their most adorable moments, and photos of the delectable gourmet dishes that we enjoy. But we seldom, if ever, post about embarrassing blunders that we made at work, or show video clips of our children throwing tantrums in a grocery store, or share pictures of greasy fast food that we bought when we just couldn't find the time or motivation to cook a healthier meal. This is not the self or the life we want others to see. So we bury those images in a pit of shame, smooth over the surface, and create the equivalent of photoshopped images of our lives. We do this online, and often in person too. It is so important and rewarding to share the positive aspects of life with our friends, families, and larger communities. But these ideal snapshots of our lives are not enough. They are incomplete without their imperfect counterparts. This month of Elul and the upcoming days of awe serve to remind us of life's bigger picture. During this time of year, we are challenged to confront the parts of our lives about which we feel shame. We begin by examining our actions over the past year. Whom have we wronged? In what ways? Why? How can we keep from repeating these harmful actions in the future? But that's not where self-examination ends. There's an even deeper level to delve into, a level where all of the things about which we feel shame reside. Many of us feel the need to hide the struggles we have in our relationships with loved ones. We are afraid to admit that we're going through a rough patch in a romantic relationship, or that our children are really struggling to keep up at school, or that our parents' or grandparents' abilities are not what they used to be. A few weeks ago, I asked a number of friends what secrets they kept out of embarrassment or shame. One friend, whom you do not know, shared that she felt like she had to hide her father's dementia. Her father once carried himself with unparalleled dignity, but he is now incapable of taking care of himself, even on the most basic level. My friend worries about her father's well-being, and deep down, she also worries that his current mental and physical state will reflect poorly on her. This is often the case with medical conditions that we do not fully understand. People panic. Is it contagious? Is it genetic? Is it safe to be associated with someone who has this condition? In addition to relationship and medical struggles, many of us are also ashamed to discuss our financial difficulties or mental health challenges. Many of us feel a tremendous amount of pressure to keep up with those around us, whether we can afford it or not. This pressure can lead to overspending and tremendous amounts of debt that we may never be able to repay. We know deep down that these financial habits are destructive, but we minimize just how destructive they are. We may not see the full consequences today, but if left unchecked, our reckless financial behaviors will catch up with us, as they have to other people who are now spending their so-called golden years making agonizing decisions over whether to pay for their prescription medications, electricity, or basic groceries each month. We need to recognize now, before it's too late, that many of us have created destructive financial patterns that are leading up to this otherwise avoidable tragedy. Some of us engage in other sorts of destructive behavior out of compulsion. We may turn to food for comfort instead of working through and processing our complicated or negative feelings. We may drink more alcohol than we should, or use drugs to escape the painful or boring parts of life, or even purposely injure parts of our bodies in secret. As a society, we have raised consciousness of these destructive behaviors among teenagers, but these are not age-specific. People of all ages struggle with depression, addiction, eating disorders, but those of us who do often struggle in secret. We are so embarrassed, so ashamed of our imperfections, that we are afraid to ask for help when we truly need it. Instead, we live in isolation, in exile from each other, from our true selves, and from God. But we need not live in exile. There's a much better way to live, and the Torah can guide us toward this better life. The Torah portion today reminds us that we need to think in terms of atem, all y'all, and kulchem, all of you. It is not just you. It is all y'all. It is not just me. It is us. It is all of us, all of the positive and all of the negative in our lives. We are not meant to live in isolation. Instinct and our sacred tradition both compel us to seek out connections with others. In Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sends his students off to investigate the best of what life has to offer. Rabbi Yehoshua concludes that life's greatest gift is a chaver tov, a good friend. Rabbi Yossi also adds, a good neighbor. someone else we can really count on as we face the ups and downs of life. A different Rabbi Yehoshua ben Prachia instructs us in the same book of wisdom to acquire for ourselves a friend. And today I am re-articulating his words. Kneh lecha chaver. Acquire for yourself a friend, a true and trustworthy friend. Find someone you can trust fully with your secrets. If something is currently weighing down your soul, it is the time to release the pain and end the exile. It is the perfect time of year to discuss our imperfections. Now is the time to reach out to someone, whether that be a trustworthy friend, a rabbi, or therapist, and discuss what's really going on. Find someone who will not judge you, and let your burden be lifted and replaced with the warm presence of Harachaman, the compassionate God in whose sacred image we were all created. For when we gather together and share our full selves, we can end the exile of isolation and despair. Only when we create a community of acceptance and sharing can we truly stand, all of us, in the presence of God.